So I'm back. Morning, everyone. I'm sorry we're late this morning with the start of the meeting. There was a little bit of technical difficulties that I've had to deal with. So give us a little bit more time here and we'll be up and going and get the meeting started. So please hold on tight. Pat. We're still waiting to connect the audio to the sheriff's office right now. And Pat's still waiting for his audio to connect. Yeah, I don't know why the sheriff's office audio isn't connecting like it should be. Can you call out there and find out?
Hey, this is Chauncey. Can you connect me with Jed? Thanks. Hey, it's Chauncey. Hey, we're trying to connect you guys. Are you trying to connect?
Why don't they exit out and try it again? You know?
Okay. You guys want to exit?
Okay. Not quite. I still want to make sure that the sheriff's department gets on. There we go. Looks like the sheriff's department is on now, so we'll go ahead and start.
Call this meeting to order. It's 8:38. Do we have a motion to acknowledge the minutes?
So moved. Second.
And these are minutes of the 24th and the 26th. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna go to the number 5, discuss between 5 and 5A, discuss and consider a letter of response to City of Fairfield regarding dispatch, because Chauncey's with us and he has court at 9. So we have in front of us two options. One's a short option that simply requests a meeting, and the other's a long option that kind of goes through a lot of information. So I just want to get in. It's a rough draft, so it clearly needs some proofreading, but the content's there. So you want to go through any?
I guess my thought on this is that we should go with the shorter letter to begin with and leave the meat and potatoes stuff to the meeting that we're calling for to be held. Because if we get too bogged down in sending a response and everything into it, we're just kind of overburdening ourselves right off the bat. I see it. I really do. Is that?
That's fine. That's why I thought it was important to input from this board. And what the short version asks is that the Board of Supervisors receive your letter about the 2080 agreement governing the law center regarding the dispatch center. The letter was dated March 26th, 2021, and was received in the Board of Supervisor office during the week of May 7th. The Board of Supervisors is requesting to meet with you, the mayor, and city council at one of your city council meetings, either June 14th or July 12th, depending on their schedule.
That July 12th isn't beyond the end of the open portion of the 2080 agreement. It stays open until we close.
Till November.
We
No,
opened it.
it's
It's
open.
open for negotiation at this time, so we can
Right.
continue carrying it forward. Yeah.
Right. So, okay. To me, that's the letter of the two to send.
Okay, so you want to make a motion?
I would make a motion that we send a short form letter.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, Scott, we'll go back to that.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Hey, thank you,
Thanks,
Chauncey.
Chauncey.
Appreciate it. Good morning.
Weekly accomplishments of the road crews. They've been blading, gravel, and dirt roads, blading for dust control. We have 112 locations approved for dust control by the dust control providers. So I think that's a record. And then ditching, 170th Street west of Highway 1 and on Spruce near 189th. Equipment maintenance.
Hey, Scott, on dust control. How about Nutmeg? Is anything being done on that? Because that gets a lot of traffic and a lot of truck traffic, and it's pretty.
For dust control, I don't recall if that was one of the ones that has been treated already, but they did get 3/4 inch roadstone on the mag.
They did a lot of really good work on Nutmeg, but it gets a lot of semi-traffic.
They're doing other rock hauling ones going through the county, but I'll check on
Yeah,
dust
please.
control. We have done that on that road. We've also been doing mowing on pavement shoulders, more or less for visibility. And project closeouts. I've been in contact with Jeff Fadden, and this week Milt Clemenson also came from Calhoun Burns. And they've been concentrating last week and this week on closeouts of the 69 and 74 projects. They've received additional documentation from Iowa Bridge and Culvert for those projects, according to both Jeff Fadden and Milt Clemenson. And when Milt was here, his main purpose was to present the bridge inspection and rating reports for all of the bridges that were inspected this past contract. One of the things he mentioned was that there's going to be like 10 audits of counties around the state. And we haven't been audited for a long time. And so we're on the list this time. We were audited by the Federal Highway Administration in 2018. And that pretty much just involved going out and looking at one bridge and seeing how that compared to the reports. And they made a few comments about things that were coming up that the county would need to be doing, and those have been taken care of by Calhoun Burns. So let's see. He mentioned that we should check on the new traffic counts. The county should check on the new traffic counts that are done in 22, and if there's any areas that the state said are less than 15 ADT or 25 ADT, the county should do a special count on that road and submit any places where it's greater than 25 instead of less than 25.
What do you mean 25?
25, the traffic counts would be 25 average daily traffic of vehicles.
Oh, is the DOT going to do those again? Is it scheduled? Okay.
They are not. Yeah, they're doing those, I think, as often. But one of the things they've slowed down on is going around with, I don't call it ARAN vehicle, but a vehicle that's mounted with sensors and video, and they check the condition of all paved roads, city, county, state, and then they do cities and counties on like every. I'm not thinking it's every 2 years, might be every 4 years, but one or the other. And so the next one in our county is evidently in 22, and the last was 18. So that's a 4-year period. Well, no, yeah, the ARAN is different than the traffic count. So the traffic counts is every 4 years, and the ARAN, I believe, is going to be about the same thing.
So if a road has less than 25 count on it, what happens?
I get lesser money for that bridge, what it all boils down to. So included in the work that they've been doing in preparation for the probability of us being audited because of the long time frame. They've got 78 new cross sections of bridges. They have cross section channel of actual bridges. Double box culverts are generally considered a bridge because the span's greater than 20 feet, but you don't have to do the cross sections of those. And then out of the 128 bridges in Sims, they have plans of 89 of them. And typically, Bill Clemens has said that having probably 3/4 of the bridge plans is fairly normal for counties. A lot of them were built without plans. So you're not going to find any plans on it. Let's see. So, anyway, in this time period coming up where the audits are going to occur, it'll probably be in August of this year. And the IDOT, it's an IDOT audit, not a federal audit. And in between now and then, the Calhoun Burns will keep getting ready for that audit. If there's anything more that can be done.
Where are we in terms of those projects? I know you referred to some by numbers, but in terms of the paving projects, the
paving projects, the two that I just discussed are bridge projects. So
Right.
that's why they're contacting Iowa Bridge and Culvert. So if there's anything more to do on the paving projects, they'll be working on that too, but just, they've got all the information from us and
they do, okay.
that we can provide and they're sorting through it, so.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Do you want to move on to 2, discuss and consider acceptance of proposal by Calhoun Burns and Associates for the 2022 bridge inspection and rating program?
Okay, so they provided kind of in conjunction with the presentation of the bridge inspection and rating. Besides this, we got a box of bridge reports that need to be reviewed and put in their files. And anyway, they were just be proposing to do the same thing for 2022. So it'd just be continuation of, they've been doing this for the county for more than 20 years. And they do probably 2/3 of the counties in the state. Unless there'd be a real good reason for switching that I'm not aware of, I would propose that that the rating program be accepted on behalf of the county. There's they would do 48 structures in 2022 for a lump sum fee of $11,170. In conjunction with that and anything else that might be asked during an audit, they also do ratings for the, ever so often the DOT adds different vehicles that need to be reviewed, such as emergency vehicles, fire trucks, and ambulances. And they've added things like agricultural vehicles and construction trucks, construction vehicles. And so they have to continuously update all the bridges for all of these new loads that the state legislature says we have to have the information about that. So they do load rating computations at $125 each, and they update level A or B scour evaluations based on those cross sections and other things. And they look at fracture critical inspections. That's $400 each. The scour evaluation is $105 each. They estimate that kind of work will cost around $4,000. And they provide assistance with the SIMS database. SIMS is about the county bridges, city bridges, state. Any extra work they do with that is an hourly rate. And they've done this in the past, so it wouldn't be any different. So they ask that this proposal be reviewed, and if acceptable, return one signed copy to them.
And I know we ask this every year, but just for the sake of asking again, it's in your budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I would make a motion that we approve the resolution, be it resolved, the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors accept proposal by Calhoun and Burns Associates Incorporated for the 2022 Bridge Inspection and Rating Program to be accepted for Jefferson County by signature of the Board of Supervisors Chair.
Second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we- Alrighty,
I need to
All right, thank you, Scott.
okay. Moving on. Thanks, Scott. Discuss and consider liquor license for Cedar Valley Winery. Do we have a motion on this?
I have a question. You guys, the Sheriff's Department, have you reviewed these at all, or do you review those? I think I've asked this in the past. As far as whether there's been any problems with what's going on, or if everything is all peachy and all that good stuff.
Currently, there's no certified law enforcement officers present who can handle that question for you.
Oh,
Your
okay.
heart just
Well,
walked
they
on.
just walked in, so, okay.
We're working
Great.
on Cedar Valley Winery.
Thank you very much.
License renewal. Is there any reason that you would say yes or no?
No, there's no reason. I don't have any problem with that. I did send Shannon an email on it.
Oh, okay,
I don't see any problem with,
okay.
there was two of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's the second one following right up. We're just working on Cedar Valley.
okay.
I don't see any problems. I don't have any problems.
All right. So we have a
So I
motion.
would move to approve Cedar Valley Winery license, liquor license.
Okay, motion second, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, discuss and consider liquor license for Whitetail Country Estates for the X-Line Satoski wedding.
I would make a motion that we approve that liquor license.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, we're.
Discuss and consider tax abatement for city of, we're almost at 9, Batavia and RE1 Tom Grush. I do not see you.
Nope.
Okay, I can tell you what this was about. Basically, he sent me an email, and the city of Batavia had gotten a property that they, 402 3rd and 907 3rd Street, and we need to abate the taxes because what happened, this was in 2019, and I checked with Steve Wemme, and he said, you know, it takes, you know, the 18 months, and now it's their first bill, and it is owned by the city of Batavia, so basically we just need to abate it like we would, you know, we did this park here recently for the city of Fairfield. So that's what that's about. So I'll make a motion that we do that.
I would second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And 1 minute, and then we're gonna go to a fiscal year 2021 county budget amendment hearing. And I'll just wait a second because we're almost there. And that is and I know, Abby, did Shannon send any? I don't have a copy of that. Number 6?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. Second at 5. Okay, do we have a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any comments? It was published in the paper. We have a resolution. We have several department heads here to answer any questions.
I had not received any comment from the public towards this, so I don't have anything.
Most of the changes, again, the review, we do this every year because the budgets are done several months ahead and things change. We had some revenues go up and some down. Any comments from department heads? Got anything? Everything looked pretty clear that you submitted. Good job on that
Mhm.
detail. Okay, any comments? I don't hear any. So hearing none.
I would make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, consider budget appropriation by service area. And so,
Would you like it read?
if you'd like to read it.
Sure. Now therefore be it resolved by the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors that the 2020-2021 fiscal year county budget be amended as follows. Revenues, other county taxes, TIF tax revenues went from $816,527 to $841,527. Intergovernmental went from $4,055,082 to $4,485,080. License and permits went from 43,000 to 27,200. Miscellaneous went from 72,174 to 135,904. Expenditures, public safety and legal services was at $3,743,869 to $3,896,406. Physical health and social services, $809,766 to $830,205. Road and transportation, $4,317,000 to $4,584,000. Administration, $1,491,684 to $1,751,989. Capital projects, $9,476,262 to $9,512,625. The amendment does not increase the taxes to be collected in the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. Be it further resolved that the schedule of proposed expenditures by department be appropriated as follows to the various departments for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. Department 01, Board of Supervisors, $260,305. Department 05, Sheriff, $152,537. Department 20, Engineer, $267,000. Department 21, Veterans Affairs, $10,939. Department 22, Conservation Board, $36,363. Department 37, General Relief, $9,500 for a total of $736,644.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Departmental budget appropriation. I don't see anything yet.
Yeah, the resolution covers both. Right, that's why I read the resolution.
Okay, just want to make sure we don't.
Yep.
Thank you, department heads, for being here in case we had some questions. Appreciate it. Good job. Bye.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. What we're gonna do is send a short version of the letter to dispatch. To ask to meet with them on either June 14th or July 12th. Whatever works for them, so we'll get that out to tomorrow, today, hopefully. I'll let you know.
Try and line up some talks to some people that know about the rate of about which way we should be going in the future.
Oh, okay. Yeah, why don't you hold that if you want to stick around on tower?
Just on a lot of different stuff, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, if you want to put an
Appreciate you
update on
coming
the
over.
agenda, we can do that sometime. We can
Thanks.
talk about that and update us.
That would be okay.
Sure.
Maybe if I just bring somebody in and kind of give a short version
Yeah, talk to me.
of some of that nose rating.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it.
Okay, let's catch up here. Discuss and consider supervisor policy on virtual meetings. This came up because our latest resolution expired as of today. And so I asked the county attorney's office for input, and Pat provided us some. We've got copies of the email. So basically, he went back to the code, which is what they do. And the reason we could do virtual is because we were under the public health emergency, and I know the governor extended it for another 30 days. But the code really says, let me find the right.
Well, the highlighted section that you're looking for is under 21.4 public notice. Parent B would be, each meeting shall be held at a place reasonably accessible to the public and at a time reasonably convenient to the public, unless for good cause such as place or time or is impossible or impractical. Special access to the meeting may be granted to persons with disabilities. And then it goes on to 21.8, which is electronic meetings. And a governmental body may conduct a meeting by electronic means only in the circumstances where such a meeting is in person is impossible or impractical, and only if the governing body complies with all of the following. The governmental body provides public access to the conversation of the meeting, to The extent reasonably possible, the governmental body complies with section 21.4 for the purpose of this agenda, of this paragraph. The place of the meeting is the place for which the communication originates or where the public access is provided to the conversation. C, minutes are kept of the meeting. The minutes shall be included in a statement explaining why the meeting as in person was impossible or impractical. 2, the meeting conducted in compliance with this section shall not be considered a violation of this chapter. 3, a meeting by electronic means may be conducted without complying with paragraph A of subsection 1 if conducted in accordance with all of the requirements for the closed session contained in section 21.5.
Basically, we can decide whether we want to continue Zoom or not. That's really what this is all about.
And I don't see any harm with continuing with Zoom. We still have offered the meetings publicly to people that want to attend, except for the 3 months, I believe the courthouse was closed in early of 2021. So we've still been staying within the guidelines because we also have our representative from the auditor's office who's in here taking notes so that they can be recorded, as always, in the auditor's office in the book of minutes that we keep. And we do, even if we move locations, we have used Zoom or not used Zoom, depending on the availability of Wi-Fi at that particular
We'll indicate
location.
it on the agenda.
And yeah, and that's what I would say, it would be indicated on the agenda, but I don't see a problem with what we've been doing. I know that there's been some issues at times with the sound quality that comes from these Zoom meetings, but that's a work in progress as well. Since I don't have a computer technician here at my disposal, I've been working through a lot of this on my own to try to take care of it. And so.
And while we're on that topic, Darren has done a really good job.
So I would like to make a motion that we continue to use Zoom because this affords us the possibility of getting it out on YouTube, and anybody that has access to the internet can watch what the board talked about and how the proceedings went, and then can comment at a later time to us after that. And I think it helps to keep the public informed a lot better than just having the meeting here and hoping that somebody that wants to really say something can be able to be here at the time that we're having the meeting. So.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, discuss and consider application process for American Rescue Plan funds. Susie, do you have an update for us?
Not really.
I thought you had somebody to talk to about that potentially.
I can tell you that I've talked to several, I was at several meetings last week, and I just threw out the question of what are you doing in your community to get these funds, and I've heard a lot of different things. I've made some phone calls to other supervisors in other counties asking how they're proceeding. And I think it's basically the same thing that we've talked about, but I think they're further along with their signature.
Were you able to talk with another office that was interested here in doing that? Or?
No.
Okay.
I've asked the one office, and they said they would work with us, but they wanted some more information.
Okay. I think we need to figure this out. We can theoretically assign this to the auditor's office because they are the secretary for the board. If we choose to do that, if another office, but I can tell you Washington County already has the money in the bank, and they've got it. It takes 4 days from when you apply to get it. It's not one of these things that takes months to get. I feel that regardless if your personal opinion is it's a good thing or not, the bottom line is the bottom line, and that the county is to receive this money and that we need to take it just because it's available to us and it's legal and it's going to ultimately save the taxpayers' money. So
There's a lot of good that can be done in our community.
with that,
There's a lot of good that can be done in our county
right.
with this money, and I think we need to keep going with it.
Yep.
Okay, so does anybody want to make a motion on that or?
I would make a motion that we move forward as quickly as we can to get someone that oversees the application for the money. And then once we receive it back, we can make a determination for what use of the money we have or how we can use the money.
And how this works is typically you get half of it now. It all doesn't come in on half of it, I believe, in 2 years.
I thought it was 1 year, but
And it might be 1 year.
I second Darren's motion.
Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, we have a motion. Discussion is, so who's going to take this on? The project.
It's my understanding we can, if the auditor can do it, the supervisors can do it.
Which would mean even the treasurer could do it, correct?
It's my understanding.
Okay.
Well, I would like to see it in the office that actually oversees all disbursement of our funds as a county, be the office that takes the lead on it. The treasurer's office is in the business of accepting payments and making sure it's banked. And the auditor's office is in charge of where the expenditures go and the accounting that goes along with it as far as how the money has been spent. So looking at the two, to me, it falls more on the auditor's office than it does on the treasurer's office. As far as the Board of Supervisors are concerned, we would still have to work with the auditor's office and making sure that they keep track of where all the money's going, how it's being spent, and whatnot. And I think that that's a layer that doesn't really need to be in there. And that would be the same if the treasurer's office got it. They would have to still work with the auditor's office to make sure the money's going where it's supposed to be and audited for correctly. Because there will be an audit for all this money after it comes in, and that's going to have to be taken by our auditor's office. And so they seem to be the lead in a majority of the places that are talked to about this funding, and I think that we should stay in line with that.
You know, I agree with that, but it has to happen.
So is that a motion?
I started with a motion, I got a second from
Yeah.
Susie, so I would say,
It's a motion.
Okay. Any discussion?
All I want to say is it needs to happen.
mhm,
We cannot drag our feet anymore.
right,
Right.
Right.
And I'll tag on to that. I'm on that small work group in ISAC too, and there most of the auditors that are there, they are doing that. Because it's part of their role. So yeah, we have a motion and a second. That would be to have the auditor's office apply for the money. All in favor?
aye,
Okay. Discuss American Rescue Plan in general. Again, some new information just came out in that the interim comments for the interim final rule are due July 9th. So after that, when it's actually published in the Federal Register will be the time to really know what's in it. Because right now there's basic categories. There is an official site on the Treasury Department. You can apply for questions, and I actually sent one last week on if there was a way to get around ID.me, and no, there's not. But I thought, I'll ask the question, see if I get a response, and I did. It took about 3 days, but I did get a response. So August 31st, deadline for counties to submit first interim report to the U.S. Treasury. And October 31st deadline for counties to submit first quarterly project and expenditure report. And then by 2024 December, funds must be incurred and obligated. In 2026, they must be expended. So there's a long time. And some of the webinars I've been on have said this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So I know, and I just thought this might be just a little, we haven't talked in depth about projects, but I know just among us, things that we all know that are coming up, I just thought we could talk in general, no decisions about things. I know we've got some expenses coming up with the tower project, and within 5 years, we have to go to a different tower for emergency management, communications. Brad, I know you're on here. If you want to say anything about that, I've been working with Bart and Brad on that a little bit. There's 2 different systems out there, and the idea is to let them talk. So that's going to be an expensive project that we're going to have to do anyway. And that might be one. I know we've talked about space for public health, possibly. With space in general, we do need to look at space.
You know, as we're sitting and talking about this.
And this is just talking.
Sure. As we're sitting and talking about possible expenditures with the American Recovery, I do believe every department should be given an opportunity to submit something to us. So while we're sitting and thinking.
And that's fine. I want to caution, it's $3.5 million, which sounds like a lot, but it's
doesn't go
not.
very far.
It's not going to go very far, and I'm hesitant to open that up too wide, or we're going to get a lot of disappointed
Yeah,
people.
I do think we should start with the departments. Just give them their input.
And I think it'd be great to see what comes up with, and maybe we have a department head meeting and let that come at that time, because I think it would be great to see what comes up in their 5-year plans, because you know they probably know things that are going to qualify anyway, that'll be appropriate. So, anything else, Darren? Do you have a
No, I don't
comment?
have anything on it.
No, I just wanted to comment if I could. So I worked through the California Health Association, there's a lot of discussion about this with the 99 counties and the mitigation that has gone on in the past, well, post 9/11, but especially in the last 15 months of this pandemic response. And the Iowa Public Health Association did a survey of the counties and asked if there was, and I can send this to you guys too, I just got it this morning, if there is a subcommittee in each county working on it, who's kind of the driving force behind it, what are the responsibilities to those people, and what does your task force look like within your county? And I think that people don't understand if they've never seen any of this information. I mean, I got a nice condensed version on May 10th that really outlines some appropriate expenditures and the things that your department could potentially have experienced in the past 15 months that you might not think about. So
right?
I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, no, and that's just it. I think first we got to get the plan to get the money, and we've got that now, and we can start maybe doing some work sessions on it. And I would suggest the first step would be get the department heads together. But again, it's $3.5 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but it really isn't, especially if we have to, spend some money for either space or a tower or something that we're going to have to spend money on anyway, because all that's going to qualify because it has to do with emergency response. And I know there'll be other needs, believe me, I'm just using those as an example. And Chris knows we've been, ever since budget time, we've been talking space in general. We don't have anything definite yet. And this is where I think this will all be answered when we ask more specific questions. One webinar I was on said that you couldn't go out and build a new building. One was a little more interest and said, well, maybe. So they don't know the answers yet. I know one of the uses that you can do is like updating HVAC systems to do better air exchange. So it's all over the board, and it's, and you cannot use it yet on roads and bridges.
There is a county bill that is.
Yeah, well, that's very clear in the regulations. It's not for roads and bridges. And I think unless you show a revenue loss in those areas, and we have not. So if you could show a revenue loss in those areas, that's probably how they're using it. They have a revenue loss. But a lot of it, and as of yet, we haven't experienced that revenue loss. So that would be the only way they could legally do that at this point.
Chris, could you please send us that? A copy?
The survey, that's probably the same thing I've got. It's
Yeah, I
right
sent
here.
that
Okay.
one a long time ago. This is dated, but this,
Mhm.
you guys have this one?
No, I've got a lot of them.
This one came from,
The one you just got this morning.
oh, I'm having that.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't clear enough.
This is the one, you know, NACO has it, the Department of Treasury, and please, ISAC, listen to those webinars. There's a lot of valuable information.
Yeah, I just wanted what she just received.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just asking questions of the local public health departments, you know, they've been involved, or what that looks like across the state.
right.
Yeah.
And I know, again, some counties have started somewhere, but
And like you said, some have received funding.
it's just, we have to be very clear that it's $3.5 million, which will be very diligent to use wisely. As of yet, it's not, because I've been asked this, can we just do general tax relief with it? That is still a question mark. One webinar said no, one said it's a question that wait until everything's published on July 9th in the Federal Register, or after that, that's when the comments
So
are due.
because of that, you are thinking that we just need to first get together as supervisors to discuss this, followed up with whatever task force,
Yeah,
until we have the actual figures or the data on
Yeah.
July 9th.
well, and it'll be after that, that's when comments are due. But I would anticipate they'd publish the rule. But we can certainly come up with questions asked between now and then. So just wanted to have some
Then
discussion.
there is a difference between CARES Act funding and American Rescue Plan funding.
Yeah.
So
Here-
we need to keep that in mind as well, because it seems that people make the confusion that both of them are the same.
No, they're
you
not.
know, and can be used in the same fashion, and they can't.
And it's very important not to use funds twice. So do something with CARES fund and then ARP.
Right, right.
Okay.
City getting some.
The city's
Yes.
getting some
Separate. Okay.
separate, and one webinar I was on said theirs is going to come through the state, and I don't know. Ours comes directly from the federal government.
Mhm.
Okay, let's move on. Discuss and consider a letter received from Board of Health. We've had multiple conversations, and then at the last Board of Health meeting, they sent us a letter, and so anyway, I'm just gonna do a quick recap. So when we had budget discussions, starting probably in January, Chris and Melissa Jones, a board member, came to our meeting. And I asked at that time and the board about doing supplemental pay. And we were told, no, we don't want that. We want a raise. And they had wanted a 10% raise. And we agreed to a 5%. The rest of the county got 2%. And we did that because in appreciation of all the work that they've done the last several months. And then they came back and now they want supplemental pay in addition to that. So we thought this issue was closed and the boards keep asking for it. So that's kind of so we can have a discussion. I talked to county supervisors in Keokuk, Washington, Henry, Van Buren, and Wacolo, and none of those counties have done anything over and above. So they have done no supplemental pay. Some of the comments were that It was a similar scenario. This has been more episodic, whereas like if the elections have their similar scenario, more cyclical every couple of years, you know, it's more of that kind of a time. Or the assessor has theirs every year when the valuations come out in that type of time. And there's no way to compare everything apples to apples like that, but that was the general information I received, but I always feel it's important to reach. So, yeah, I don't know, where we want to go. But for this, hey, Tom, we already addressed that and we abated it.
Still connecting with these audio because sometimes it takes a little bit for it to do that.
Tom, are you on?
Oh, yes.
We already took care of that and abated that, so you're okay to go.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
All right, so back to this. So yeah, I mean, we appreciate everything that the public health has done, and we showed our appreciation by giving them an extra increase in pay. I know they want more, and none of the other counties have. So I'm going to propose that we have addressed it. We appreciate what they've done, and make a motion that we stay where we are, because as we said when we did this lasts forever. The 3%, it's not just a one-time thing.
I have some comments. The raise that was given, as I understand it, before I was supervisor, they had some money taken away.
No, not in raises.
They didn't receive raises?
They chose not to receive raises because their budget had been cut. But the next year they increased those raises and reaccounted for it.
No. I'm sorry, no.
Actually, we're having the discussion right at this point in time, so please hold things until we're asked for comments, please.
Okay, then the other point I wanted to make is put yourself in these folks' shoes. I brought up the one-time incentive early on.
As did the whole board.
I would say in thinking about this, the raise is going forward. It doesn't even start until July 1st. The incentive was to be for a time that's already happened, the past 18 months, past what, year, 12 months, oh, more than that, 18 months.
Yeah, 18 months.
And so I don't want to make a rash decision here. I know this has been going on and on, but I personally feel there should be some kind of incentive. In my talks with other folks, and I'm not going to tell you the counties, there are some counties that are giving large amounts to these people.
That would be helpful to know those counties because I'm not around here.
Yes, not around here. But those counties that you talk to, are they even considering it? Have you
No.
thought about it?
They
They're
clearly
not gonna do it.
Keokuk, Washington, and Henry clearly said, and I'm a messenger, they're not going to do it. Van Buren said it hadn't come up. Wapello said it hadn't come up. They don't know.
You know, I don't know about those counties, but I personally feel these are our people in our county.
I agree with that if we hadn't done this 3% raise. And I know because we've had that conversation multiple times. The reason typically, I've done some research on this, typically public health makes 5 to 10% less than like a hospital nurse. And the reason for that is typically it's scheduled hours. It's not shift work. It's not, inpatient on your feet all day work. They've had a rough several months. That's what they train for. That's what they do. My concern, and believe me, I've always supported public health and I'll continue to support public health, is the rest of the employees of the county that go through this on a regular basis in their own way. I mean, we just had an election that went on and on and on, and they put up with the same kind of interactions with the public. So my concern is this time, yes, there is definite funding for it, but are we going to open a door that's going to, I don't know, I'm just asking.
So are you saying other departments have had to suffer the workload
Similar kinds of
and
things.
the backlash from the community, even calling their mother at home to find them?
I don't
I know if I look at the hospital, you've got to go in and talk to people. There's layers to get through. These girls in public health are just right over there, just 6 of them. And I do believe they've been very mistreated.
Oh, I do too. I do too. It's just, I don't know. There's no right or wrong. It's kind of like no other county around here is doing anything, nor plans to, unless they change their mind. I don't know.
When it's an option, I would like to speak.
We're still in discussion with this.
Okay.
Until we open it up for other people to put input or have input into this, the board is going to continue with its discussion right at this moment in time. Okay, Mandy?
Yep, that's great. Just let me know.
Thank you.
I do want to say
We'll let
something.
you know. We'll let you know.
And we've had multiple meetings, so we please ask if it's a discussion we've had before. Yeah.
I feel the same way that Susie does. I think they took a lot of abuse from the general public that was unwarranted because there are so many people that are extremely selfish and looking at this as you have to serve me first because I'm the public, rather than what can we do to make this system work better or go quicker, rather than just complain or try to run people down or try to find people to call them all hours of the day and night. And I think that was highly uncalled for, and I think the public should be very ashamed of themselves around this county. And I do believe that there was a lot of stuff put on them that was unnecessary. So there should be some sort of compensation. What that is, I don't know. But again, I would like to find out, like Susie had mentioned, that there are other counties that are doing a lot for this. And I would like to know where they are, what they were doing with it, and why they took the route that they did with this. It's only worth the due diligence to try to find that out. But again, this has went on for a long time. We did give an extra 3% pay raise, which goes on from here forever to the employees over there, because they were trying to make the point that they need to be paid very similar to what hospital staff or other nursing staffs get in their positions based off of what the difference is with public health. And Dee had made the comment that yes, public health doesn't normally work some of the strenuous hours that a nurse in a hospital would, but that's really not something to be basing this all on at this particular point in time. So I'm very torn with this. When we did discuss all of this at the meeting, I felt that it was the health department was asking for a 10% pay increase at that time to get them to match what private nurses are making in their jobs, and that this would be compensation to them, not only in that way, but for some of the extra work that they had gone through with everything that's been going on with this situation. So I do believe that we need more discussion with this, and I do believe that we need more information about which counties did go with paying staff and why, and which counties didn't go with paying staff and why. Not that they just decided they weren't going to do it, because it doesn't. That decision never makes any sense to me. So that's my input on this.
Yeah, I can go through the counties that I talked to and why more specific if you want to, but I covered the highlights.
Yeah. It's my understanding, I don't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
Sure, no, that's
It's my
fine.
understanding the state is sending out a questionnaire to all 99 counties to see what they're thinking.
No, really. Well, and the bottom line now is Shannon told me nothing's going to be available until the 1st of July anyway, even if we wanted to do an incentive, because
So you're saying that means we have a little time to maybe look at this report.
and yeah, no, I was under the impression, backtrack to anyway, originally we wanted to do the supplemental pay instead of the raise, and we did decide to do the raise, which goes on forever. So I'm hoping that issue is solved. Chauncey has a book that they look at, and sometime when he's here, we can ask him about it, that they do like size, and we looked up the salaries and they were comparable with what was in that. So I did some salary research. I reached out to Henry County and Washington, and we were in the ballpark, just straight on, especially with Henry County in terms of salaries. So I don't know. This is one of those deals. We're just going to have to figure out what works best for
And I
us.
feel we need to look at the incentive, not what the salary is.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Because I thought we had it solved with the salary, which is why I kind of went down the history thing. As you remember, our first, we wanted to do an incentive, but you wanted to have a salary instead. So now you want both. I understand that. But one question, I know you've had a lot of calls on your personal phone. Can you get just a phone for work? Would that work? And it might be too late for that.
It's too late.
Yeah. But, yeah, okay. Anything you want to add?
Or wanting to add something else.
Mandy, do you want to go?
I'll go. I appreciate the fact that you're giving us a raise. Don't negate me in that. I appreciate that. But I want to point out that a few years ago, we took a $50,000 budget cut.
And that's because visits were steadily down.
But we also lost Peggy, and we did not replace her, and we all picked up her duties.
Right.
So not only are we learning to navigate duties we never had before, then we're in the middle of a pandemic. And there's 6 of us here. And I'm not a whiner, I'm not a complainer. I know that this is my job, and I will do it again. But you guys have no idea what it's like when there's only 6 people for 18 months of, I mean, it was miserable. And hospitals get hazard pay, and they have way more people to rely on to help do the work. And I know Chris got tons of calls, but we all did. We were reached out to by family. We had people trying to work through us to get COVID shots. I mean, there's no, to me, Dee, I appreciate that you're talking about the raise, but I think I could cry right now. I feel like I've been slapped in the face. I feel like we're not, like, public health is not important.
Yeah, we've had this conversation, and you know, we came over and met with you.
And I appreciate that.
And we do really appreciate it. We're just trying to talk, and that's what we're doing now, to really figure out what's right, and we don't know.
So I'm ready to talk now.
There's-
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you. Thank you
There's
for
no
letting,
perfect, simple answer. It's clearly
And
been a tough time, and we know
and
that.
I do understand that, but you know, this has been a very long, hard time for the 6 of us in this department.
Right, we know that, and we do appreciate that.
Okay, so a couple things. I agree with what Mandy said. I don't want to rehash everything. You look at this, if you look at the hourly wage of our nurses comparatively to a med-surg nurse on the hospital side of
We
things,
haven't seen any of that.
I have it right here.
No, but
But what I'm saying is the skill set is the same or actually higher
kind of
with
job
public
description.
health because we don't have anybody else to
Right,
go down the hall and get.
right.
So to say that,
I thought we already addressed this salary thing. Are we gonna
well,
revisit
you
it?
brought it up again, Dee.
Well, I said that's what we did instead of an incentive.
Here's the thing. The Board of Health approved a 10% raise. You guys cut my budget. You actually cut my line item by Iowa code. You can't do that.
But I know.
The salary line item was cut by the auditor's office. They can't do that. It never did come
When was that done? How many years ago was that?
this past year.
This past year.
Yes.
I don't remember
I talked to Shannon.
authorizing anybody to cut your
Well, it
line
was
item
cut.
salary budget.
It was.
So,
It was cut to reflect a 5% raise.
Why don't we look into that?
Yeah, we'll look
we'll
into it.
into
We
that.
just-
It's
That's
Iowa
new.
code.
Knowing you, do you know the code?
Yes.
Can I have the?
I don't know the number off the top of my head. I have it in my office. So what I'm saying is there's a couple different things going on. So if you look at the salaries, yes, we're very appreciative of the fact that we got a raise moving forward, but that doesn't, the raise moving forward just is going to hopefully be competitive with our hospital partners. And when you talk about public health, nobody's going to leave this public health department to go to another public health department.
Right.
They're going to leave to go to the private sector. Not that anybody's leaving. That's not what I'm saying. However, you have to be competitive with your salaries. And
Right.
when you have roads department guys operating equipment, no offense, that are making more than my nurses, I scratch my head and wonder why. Sorry, Scott. I mean, when you look at the responsibility level, there's a little bit difference there. So I have asked several board members to come, but everybody's working and I understand that.
But do we have any new information?
No, and here's the deal.
But we found a couple of things that we need, so that's been good for the conversation. Go ahead.
It's okay, Chris. Tell us what you think.
No, you don't want to know.
Okay, it sounds like we need to check into this salary budget.
I really don't think it's going to accomplish anything. It's going to be more kicking the can down the road. The board made the motion. Right here. And if you look to see where that funding is coming out of, it's coming out of the CARES funding. So you already have that.
CARES.
It's unencumbered funds. You can, as a board,
We can't spend it until July because, but Shannon told me we need a budget amendment
why didn't you do it today? With that
because,
process, nobody will give me an expenditure line item. Then why is it in my budget right now as a revenue?
because we extended the budget amendment timeline to make sure all the department heads got that in if they wanted to.
This is the latest I've ever seen a budget amendment process ever in the 13 years I've been here.
And
I've
that's,
never seen it be so late,
yeah,
ever.
and
But
that's,
it wasn't even brought up today, was it? Was which part of the budget amendment process was the CARES funding?
that's part of the budget amendment.
Then it should be available now. It shouldn't have to be available next. Abby, do you? I mean, we're talking in circles here. The bottom line is the Board of Health made this recommendation to the Board of Supervisors on behalf of the health department employees.
Right, and Shannon told me, because she said she couldn't be here today, that we can't spend any money on it until July 1st.
That's a month.
Right.
And we've been having this conversation since January.
And didn't we say we were gonna get a survey, Susie?
Yes.
So I thought that was our next step. Is that what we wanna do, or do you wanna do something today?
I discussed the fact that maybe we should see the results of this survey of 99 counties.
Well, what the survey is, it's asking about who is working in the recovery funds, how that's going to look. It has nothing to do with, every county is waiting for somebody else to go first. Historically, public health just sucks it up and does their job. Okay? We're tired.
So you're saying, Chris, just help me out here.
Yes.
That the American recovery is what they're gearing that for.
Yes, that's what the survey is coming back for, Susie. That is like what your county looks like as far as what the process is or who's involved in that, applying for and looking at American recovery funds. So that's what that survey is for. That was from the Iowa Public Health Association. The CARES funding is totally separate. The county wouldn't have received any of those dollars had it not been all the work public health did. Just for clarification of the media, those dollars are paid to this county on behalf of the work that public health completed. And I have day sheets. Every person in my department has a day sheet for the amount of hours they have worked.
And in addition to that, Pat sent a email to us, everybody to review all that. Basically, the CARES funding that public health got some 200,000 for was reimbursement. And that was from March of last year to December of this year. There's also a second round of CARES funding, which is around 136,000 that is sitting there. That's at the discretion of the Board of Supervisors. And then there's a third round, and this is the one that clearly has the potential incentives for public health included, and that's the American Rescue Plan. And that starts as soon as we apply for the funds and get it. And then
the reason my board wrote this like this is because this funding is already here. They're very concerned that that the county is not going to follow through with the application process. Henceforth, why this was written the way it is, because that money is already here.
Then we need somebody from the auditor's office to come clarify it. But I know that's what Shannon said to me. He said, you want to see if Scott can come clarify that?
I don't know that he's going to be today. That's the last that I heard. He was.
So this is.
So Chris, I know you want it resolved, but I'm the messenger here. Shannon told me we couldn't spend it until July 1st.
I understand that. That still doesn't mean that you can't take action on the item.
Right. But then.
But what I'm saying is my board discussed this for an extended period of time during their last meeting. And to twist things into something that they're not is just, it's not appropriate.
I don't know if you want to do, I know Susie wanted to wait till we got the surveys, so shall we wait?
You know, now I'm like,
the survey is just on what that looks like as a county. It's nothing if your county's going to apply for it. Rob Sand, when I talked to him, absolutely the health department should be compensated. Dr. Miller Meeks said absolutely. Hazard pay is totally appropriate for your staff at the local level for everything you have done above and beyond. It's not. Just because another county's not doing it doesn't say it's not right or appropriate. The treasurer's office just got a stipend not too long ago. And it was a little different because they didn't replace somebody, neither did we, but our money didn't get divided to us as employees, is what I'm saying.
He was he's got a plan on his probation, and it was taking his probation people.
Right.
I'm just saying that.
His was different, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. No, we know, I think, we don't know what to do, Chris. I mean,
I don't understand.
No other county has, we know you want it.
It's not right.
I know that.
okay.
No, that's what I keep hearing from you, Dee.
Guys, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking Chris is bringing a very vital point to us here because she's essentially pleading to have us set this American Recovery Plan up. But I know you also are interested in the CARES funding. But it makes it more imperative that our county auditor move this process along. And the ball is in his court. We as the supervisors need to figure out what to do if that doesn't happen. Now, as far as the CARES funding, I think we need to figure that out. Because where's it?
Yeah, my board asked me, they're like, well, what is the CARES money going to be spent on? I said, that money is unencumbered, meaning at June 30, it goes back to the general fund and it can be spent on whatever it needs to be spent on.
The 136,000 won't, because,
It's 200.
no, that's,
Right, but
that's,
Jefferson County was later given approximately $136,000 by the state of Iowa. This money is additional CARES dollars that were initially set aside for municipalities in Jefferson County that were either not applied for or the threshold levels were not initially met. Hereinafter, this fund will be referred to as additional state funding, or ASF. Per correspondence from Jamie Cashman, ISAC Government Relations Manager, the expenditure of the ASF funds are at the discretion of the Board of Supervisors. So that's the portion that's at the discretion of the Board of Supervisors, $136,000. This is an opinion that was written by our Assistant County Attorney, Pat McVan.
and that was,
So-
sent that to everybody.
I believe he did. But yes, the initial amount of CARES money that came, the county received just under $232,000 from the state of Iowa under their local government relief fund, hereinafter the LGRF.
And that was
I have-
reimbursement for expenses that you expended. There was a little bit in the sheriff's office. Continue.
Right, this allocation is a reimbursement for specific expenditures required by the COVID-19 pandemic response. Okay, so that $232,000 approximately has to be used for that.
And it's already been used. That's the point Shannon made with me. And yeah, because that was the information from March 20th to December 31st last year that was reimbursing for expenses. So that was reimbursed mostly for public health salaries and
Started July 1st,
okay,
of
last year.
20. You're talking about 22 budgets and which year you're in. It was
No,
July
yeah.
1st of 20.
Yeah, and
I
so
asked-
I
Can I
would,
ask a quick,
it would help if Shannon was here, because I asked her to explain it to me. And I know that one, but again, that's an auditor office thing. Now, we still have the 136,000 that we could spend. However, she told me we needed a budget amendment. Could we theoretically today do an incentive? Yes, with that.
My question is, I'm sorry, I'm stuck on this one thing and I just need to clarify it. I'm sorry. If you look at our revenue and expenditure sheet, it shows 230.
yeah, the 200 is still in our revenue.
It's on our revenue sheet.
That's a question for the auditor's office. I'm sorry. I
I
tried
know,
to my
that's
best
why
to
I'm
get it
stuck.
clarified because I knew she'd be gone, and that's.
No, that's why I'm stuck. And I've asked several times
I've tried to get information.
for an expenditure line item. And my board of health asked me why I couldn't get one. I said, I don't know. I could pull the documents and show where we're at with that. But if that's showing as revenue, and then in addition to that, we as a local health department received almost $18,000 from the state health department. And we got reimbursed for time in December, and that's specific for that. So that showed as revenue as well. But let's back up a little bit. So when you're looking at this document that Pat sent, it's talking about respond to workers performing essential work during COVID, premium pay. We were not given premium pay. Premium pay means an additional up to $13 per hour that is paid to an eligible worker for work during the COVID-19 pandemic. The law imposes a cap of $25,000 for any single eligible worker.
Right.
So if you look at that, and the way that is written, Dr. Trent did say that their hospital paid above and beyond. Our hospital paid premium pay per hour. We are all salaried, which is on my list of things to figure out moving forward, exempt versus non-exempt, which precipitates a discussion for tomorrow's meeting. you know, I guess I'm just trying to I'm trying to be an advocate for my team. I'm trying to be an advocate for the department. And it's not only my department, it's the other 98 counties that have health departments with staff that feels and has worked just like we have. 24/7. I can bring my day sheets over here and show you guys how many hours I have worked, how many hours the team has worked with vacation restrictions in place. Money doesn't fix everything, but it helps, right?
So I think we've had some of these conversations and we appreciate them, but we still are stuck with, let's figure out next steps and what information we need. So we need.
Can I just say professionally, I'm very frustrated by that.
Well,
very frustrated.
I'm saying system-wise, we need the system to work for us, and because we don't have that information about the budget amendment thing, or not the budget amendment, but CARES fund was one question.
You know, if I could just interject, I feel we need the auditor here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel if it takes scheduling a meeting every day for 5 days in a row, maybe we could finally have the auditor here.
Can you find out when we can meet with them?
Because I think that will. Okay.
I can't Thursday or Friday, but I can.
We can meet with him.
Yeah.
You know, I just think that,
No, I agree. That's.
and I'm sure he would want the same thing for all this to work out.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even think I have words to describe it right now.
No,
I just think there's a few more gates we need to open for this to all work out.
Yeah, I
It'll be
agree.
fine.
I agree. We've come this far. However,
it's frustrating.
it's beyond frustrating, especially when everybody is held to a different level of accountability.
We're all held to different levels of accountability with our positions and our jobs. So, you know, I still have to look back at what portion of funding can be used for what we're talking about here. And knowing that you have a revenue in your budget that shows that you have $200,000 and some that has come in, but you have not been given an expenditure line item, is something that we cannot answer here right at this particular point in time, and have asked for but have not been given any real valid reason yet to this point that I am aware of. Okay, there's been a lot of conversations that go on alone by different individuals, and I think that some of those conversations should have actually been held in a format that all of us could have gotten information all at the same time. And I think that we need to start reining in a little bit on what we do on a personal level as a supervisor, asking other department heads or working with other departments in general, and not including to others. It doesn't matter if it's me or Dee or Susie, if we don't include everybody in the conversation at some point in time, nothing ever gets accomplished. So we need to change our tack when it comes to that. And I think that we do need to be able to get a valid reason why there hasn't been an expenditure line item set up. And we need to have a valid reason of what those line items are and what they can actually be used for. Because there's two different amounts of money that we're talking about here. The 136,000 sounds like that's the amount of money that we can use for whatever the discretionary pay would be, the hazard pay or however that's looked at. And then the other would be what the line item for the 232,000 would actually be, and whether there's been money expended from that or what it has been expended for needs to be defined to us. And that isn't something that's held by the Board of Supervisors. But again, there's some real problems I've seen in the last 18 months with how business has been conducted here, not only with the Board of Supervisors, but all of the other offices and public health through this time period. And now that we have all this money, we have all these people standing there with their hands out like this, I want to make sure it goes to the correct places, not just something that, oh, we think this is going to be really great, because that's not what it's intended for. And I think we need more direction with that. So that's
Very, very, very. Well, and I think.
Can I say something?
Sure. Deb.
I know that you're, talking to the other counties to see what they're doing, but I don't think you're going to find any answers because there isn't any other counties that has an administrator who sticks up for her staff or feels so strongly about what is right and they've done.
I'd say that's it.
Those departments are different too. I mean, they have different staff, different programs that they do. They have, some of those departments have more people to draw from.
Yep. Thanks, Deb.
Sorry, Deb, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Deb?
Well, I appreciate you considering all angles from this. It's not like we're asking for the world. We totally appreciate what you've given us so far, but I would appreciate if you'd just read through our letter again and see what our department has been through. And Chris is just only trying to fight for what she feels is.
Yeah. And we understand that and appreciate that. And we're just trying to sort through, what's fair to everybody. And not just public health, but everybody, and what else is going on. So that's why there's no simple roadmap here. We're trying to figure this out together. And clearly, one thing we've identified, we do need a representative from the auditor financial part here. We have the board secretary here, but her role is not the questions that we're asking.
Right, and I agree with that. And I think too, there's been a long-standing, like the roads department guys or law enforcement, they receive overtime. My staff doesn't. So there's a lot of questions that have come to rise yet again. We've been through H1N1. It did not last as long as this lasted. We're still not done. So I just have to say this is going to be the same thing come tomorrow when we're discussing the payoff for my vacation. So
we'll have that tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll have that discussion tomorrow.
Do you have information for us?
I think we just need to pull it and then do it next week.
Okay.
Are we going to accomplish anything?
What are we talking about?
Okay. So let's.
Because honestly, I don't have it in me to come back here tomorrow.
Well, right now let's go ahead to committee reports.
So we're going to table it.
This is what I know about.
Yeah.
All right.
The funding, I know Shannon went back and forth with you a couple times about the budget amendment, and that is why I got pushed back. She said she has emails back and forth from you on 5/10. Per Chris Essel, no budget amendment for this fiscal year. She has it in notes.
Right, for this fiscal year for my personal public health budget.
Yes.
And nobody would give me an expenditure sheet or a line item, nor did I think that I had to have a budget amendment for the $225,000 that was sitting there.
Yes, because you have to have permission to spend it. Just because it's there doesn't mean you can spend it.
So this is like so where's it going to go at the end of the fiscal year then? Why didn't she tell me that when in the email correspondence, again, I am not an auditor. I am not a fiscal person. Why was that not said? Chris, you need to make sure that you put in for budget amendments?
I know she asked you several times if you want.
Yeah, but she didn't say to expend the $225,000 that is currently in your budget with the CARES funding.
She did give you a couple of line items as an example. That was an email.
So again,
How the budget amendment works, maybe.
well, I understand how it works. However, this,
You know, because this is just the messenger.
I get it. I'm sorry, Melissa. Thank you.
Coming
This is
in.
why we
Anything
do
else?
a budget amendment every year, because he gets grant money in and he can't spend it until he has the authority to spend it.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, back to the point. here.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you for,
Thank you, Melissa.
thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
So yeah, path forward. It's, and again, I just want to make sure we're,
that,
I know. We appreciate Melissa coming in and
Yes.
sharing what she
yes, I absolutely do. I
Okay,
absolutely do.
so let's figure
Thank
this
you.
out for an agenda item for whenever Scott can meet with us. It's just, yeah, I guess we'll wait and hear back then when he can meet with us, whether it's next Monday or,
I saw you on the phone. Every day to get back to you. I mean, maybe you didn't. I don't know. I understand what it's like to not feel well. Not,
so next steps
no.
are to meet with the auditor.
Okay, one day we need to see what day.
Well,
We need to get my-
Right.
So basically what I'm hearing now is I didn't put in for a budget amendment, so that money cannot be expended because I didn't put in for a budget amendment, of which was not informed to me that I needed to, just because it was sitting there as revenue. And when I asked for an expenditure line item, that was really not communicated with me that I would need to request for specifically to expend those dollars.
Good conversation for the auditor.
Yeah.
Because I know how grants work. I know how budget amendments work. I did not need one for this year's specific public health budget.
Right.
So that line item there that was sitting there with the revenue in it,
But I think the easiest way, I think what this board needs to figure out is,
back to the general fund.
no, I don't think, I know the 136,000 doesn't, but I don't think we can spend that either because we don't have this funding authority until July 1st.
You mean with the 136,000?
Right.
Right, it's the same thing. What we can do is be ready come July 1st, because as soon as we get this ARP money, that's going to be the easiest to use if we choose to do an incentive.
And again, we're using two different terms that weren't used in the memo note that came out. The ARP money is American Republic,
American Rescue Plan.
Rescue Plan,
And
which
that's,
is different than the 136,000 that Kate said, which
but-
is the AS.
but the reason the ARP
I
is
hate
going to be the
acronyms.
easiest to use for this.
But again, my board is
Exactly.
concerned, but you're talking about money that you haven't even got yet. If we're having this much trouble right now with money that we currently have, I'm very concerned about moving forward with even applying for money.
We'll get that money in 4 days if we get it, if we get somebody to apply.
Do you understand my concern?
I do.
You can't spend money you don't have.
Exactly.
That's not how I roll.
But you can't spend money that you do have unless it's been amended so that you
Yes.
can
Thank you.
appropriate line items in
Yeah.
order to spend it through.
Yeah.
That was the example that was just given to us about Veterans Affairs, where they get grant money on an annual basis, and until he puts in to have that amendment to his budget to attach that additional money, that money cannot be expended. So there's the catch that we're in right now.
Right.
And that is something that the board cannot say right at this moment. So we need to have this other meeting that we're talking about over and over and over again here in order to get at least a beginning resolution to what actually needs to take place in order to expend that just under $232,000, which is currently sitting as a line item in your budget for revenue.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
so that's as simple as I can see this in my own mind. Okay, so we need to be able to work that out between now and before July 1st, when we can start using the American Recovery Plan money, which is different from the CARES Act money that we've been just talking about. So we should never try to mix the two together, because that only leads to further confusion as far as where funds can go and how it's going to work. But at this point in time, it sounds to me like an amendment to the public health budget needs to be made so that there can be a couple of line items at least created so that money can be expended through that department. The $136,000 is above and beyond that. So we need to be able to have some sort of idea formulated on what that portion can be done with. But what you're talking about comes out of the very first portion that we already have in the bank. So we need a better explanation of what we need to do with it. And this is something that you haven't been faced with before, where you were given a line item that has an estimated revenue of this, but you have not decided what that is going to go for. It can't be just, you know, let's make up a line item. We have to do that through the budget amendment process. And so we need to get that clarified by our auditor in order to be able to take care of that.
Good summary.
Okay, so.
Yes, thank you, Darren. And I've had budget amendments almost every year. So I just want to make this point. It was very frustrating to me to just hear what I just heard. Not from Darren. Because you explained it very well for everybody that's on the call. Thank you. What I'm saying is, so now it's too late for budget amendment now. Yeah. Yeah. So that money will go back to the general fund is what I'm saying. It always happens. Whenever I have any money left in my budget, it goes back to the general fund.
That's an audited question, Chris.
No, I know it.
That is true.
It is true. It is true, because you have to remember, I have a former board of supervisor on my board of health budget. That is why the push to get this taken care of now. So now it appears that the public health director screwed the pooch, so to speak, and didn't get a budget amendment, and now her staff is not going to get any kind of stipend because she didn't follow through the process.
That's an assumption. That's not an actual truth that was said there. There are ways to be able to do this. We as supervisors don't know those. That is through the auditor's office. And so until we get either Scott Reniker or Shannon Pearson in here to lay this all out for us, we are as much in the dark as anybody when it comes to this. So right now, all I see us doing is spinning our wheels with something that we don't really control. So I do suggest that we have a meeting with them whenever we get a response back from Scott. I understand that he's home and not feeling well, so that I get that. You know, I have those days as well. But we need to be able to get this ironed out so that we no longer have this cloud of disbelief hanging over our heads of what is or is not going to happen with something that we do not or have not ever received in the future. And we do have guidelines on how some of this can be spent, and that does include stipends for the public health office as one of the major items that you can spend that money on. But that would be from the first line item of revenue that is shown on her reports. Okay, so that needs to be worked out, whether it's today's the deadline, drop dead, whatever, for budget amendments. Regardless of that, I still see that the board can be able to work with the auditor's office to be able to get funds expended from that line, or know that it was earmarked for that, and that's where that money can come from, even if it comes back out of the general fund dollars. Okay, because it does sound as if that's what's automatically going to happen if it was not expended. But that doesn't mean that it's going to go right into, you know, something new here in this building, or something new out on the road department, or something new in the sheriff's department. It needs to be spent as it was set forth, whether it's in our general fund or not. Okay, that's the way I look at it.
You know, Darren, I'm down. Would you say today is not the drop dead date for a budget amendment for Chris?
Well, I can't say that. I
Okay.
can't say that. I don't know that for
Sure.
a fact. But I do know that if it goes into the general fund,
Yeah.
then we can expend it
Correct.
in the way that I just talked about,
Yeah.
if we set forth on doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just, I don't want her to lose that opportunity.
Well, I don't see how we would lose that
Yeah,
opportunity. I think there are other avenues available to us to be able to work through this. So it's not like today is the day that I have to sit here and say, yeah, let's do this. Because it's not
Thank
going to
you.
work that way. That's my whole thinking on this.
Thank you.
There are two other ways we can work through it. What we just need to figure out is what we need to do.
Okay.
So, yeah. And good discussion, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there any other questions you have?
Thank you, Mandy and Deb.
Is there any other questions? you
Deb.
have for me?
Is Deb still on
Yeah,
there?
I thanked her.
Deb? Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you,
thanks.
Mandy.
thank you.
Tomorrow.
And we do appreciate all you do. Okay, make committee reports.
So I had several meetings last week. Of course, the 10:15, the RP meeting, most of those discussions were all about the COVID, how they could spend COVID on. Yeah, so. But you know, so everybody is thinking about what to spend the money on. You know, so I know we've got a huge task as supervisors to spend that money. But and I believe that was all the only meetings I was at last week.
Okay.
Mhm.
I didn't have any actual meetings, but I did work with the 8th Judicial District so that we could find a larger space to be able to hold our meeting at this month. I've been out to ISU Extension Office. That office, or that meeting room in that particular office is much larger than the one that we normally meet in over at the 8th Judicial District office, which is on Jefferson. So I have put them in contact with each other so that they can work it out, and then we will be able to have the meeting there and be more convenient for them. I know that Dan Fell, the Director of Corrections down here, has made an arrangement to go out and look at that office today, or that meeting space
You're talking
today.
about the meeting space.
The meeting space in the back half of that
Correct.
particular room, rather than the Cambridge area,
Right.
which is extremely large.
Yeah.
But we were looking for something that would not cost. And ISU in the past has always said that if we need that conference room for anything and it is available, we would be able to use it at no expense.
Sure.
So that was what I worked on this last week. This week I've got my Rust Board meeting coming up.
I had FIDA, nothing new to report there. I was asked to write a letter to support the Fairfield Community School District to apply for a mental health grant, which I did. It's a very competitive grant, so let's hope they get that. And then Area 15, economic development. One thing to note, if there's any, and there's small businesses out there, there's some funds available to help them develop websites and do some digital things. And then I did ask about if it's good for government use, and it is not. But for any small businesses, and contact Josh Larrabee, because all the counties that are going through their economic development, if anybody, small business is interested in that. Okay, public comments. Do we have any further public comments out there?
Yeah, the only people I see still on the Zoom end of this call is Mike Brown and Assistant County Attorney Chloe Hennessy, who is a member of the public, Mandy from Public Health, Deb Boog from Public Health, and KMCD News. So
I wrote a letter to support the school.
Okay, Chris just said she also wrote a letter to support the grant. Yeah, I know they were looking for a lot of community support. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Motion to allow claims.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, nuisance, any update on nuisance properties?
No, there should be some updates coming after I have the rest board meeting this week, or
Okay.
next week, one or the other.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes.
Friday.
Thank you, everybody that was on the call today. I appreciate it very much.